Thank you so much for joining us today for our Alumni Corner event. We really like to take the time to speak with our current students and alumni to get an insight into their experience, what it was like pursuing one of our Penn Engineering master's programs, and to give prospective students, an idea of what it's like to be a Penn engineer. So, Hans, you have great work experience before starting your degree at Penn. So, can you tell us a little bit about your career path and what made you decide to apply to the MCIT online program?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Um, in terms of my background, I've always loved learning. I think that stemmed from my childhood in sort of the rainforest areas of India and Madagascar. Um, and so after high school, I moved to the US where I studied geology at Brown University. And then I was a teacher for many years. So I was a teacher both in Los Angeles as well as at international schools in West Africa and India. And with my love for learning, I then decided to get a PhD in oceanography at Stanford. And that's where I was, for the first time, really exposed into some of the big ideas of computer science. So my PhD was kind of at the intersection of computing and studying climate change. And so I had to use computers to analyze terabytes of data. And so at Stanford, it's impossible as well to escape computer science. It was a really exciting time. This is when neural networks really took off in about 2012. And so a lot of my friends were sort of at the forefront of the field. And so at that point, I knew I really wanted to kind of make another pivot into software engineering. So I contemplated boot camps, but I talked to a lot of friends in industry, and they felt that often with boot camps, um, you often didn't have strong enough foundations to truly thrive and do some of the most interesting work in the industry. So then I looked really hard. I did a lot of research on really strong master's programs, and UPenn really stood out. It was the only program I applied to, so I threw all my eggs in one basket, which is usually not my style. Um, and I decided to join UPenn because there's this combination of it was affordable, especially compared to the other programs, as well as truly world class in terms of professors and course offerings and students.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what an amazing answer. And what do you like about the MCIT program? I know you just talked a little bit about your experiences with professors and other students. Are there any standout professors you worked with or experiences specifically you can tell us about?
So I've taken a lot of courses over the years through many degrees, and some of my favorite courses were definitely the Penn Engineering courses. So I really enjoyed, for example, CIT 593, which is Introduction to Computer Systems. This was a course that really changed how I view the world. So we learned how computers work from logic gates all the way through C programming. And so I thought that was a just incredible experience, amazing assignments and lectures. Um, there are some really great professors in the online program as well. One of my favorite was Professor Khanna for algorithms. So in my view, he was the best math professor I've ever had. So I went to every one of his office hours every week, where the way he explained the intuition of algorithms, I found just incredible and very illuminating. Um, and then I think the other thing that I really like about Penn Engineering Online is that even though we're online, there's a huge emphasis on group projects. And so I took courses where we worked in groups of 3 or 4, building really complex software that involved a lot of moving parts. And so we had to split things up into modules, decide who worked on each module, make sure that the modules can talk to each other. And so by, working on these group projects, I felt like we learned some really strong engineering skills as well as collaboration skills, and we made some really good friends. So I really enjoyed that aspect as well.
Wow, well, that's so lovely. And I'm so glad you made use of those office hours. I think that's so important and a really great time to connect with your professors. That's great. So, what are you hoping to do following graduation? What are your career aspirations? Do you think that Penn has really set you up to achieve your goals?
So following graduation, I decided to take more courses at Penn. So I'm now in the data science certificate. Mainly, I have enough degrees, so I don't need another degree. But mainly, there's some courses I really wanted to take, especially like natural language processing and deep learning. At the same time, post graduation, I got a really great job in technology. So I'm now a senior software engineer at Cisco. Working on the Networking Academy team. So our goal is so the Networking Academy at Cisco, it trains students in 190 countries in technical skills. So everywhere from networking to cybersecurity to data science, even courses like entrepreneurship. And so our focus is to make the learning experiences extremely interactive using software. So I'm really lucky. My manager, he is, in my view, one of the best, if not the best, at interactive learning. He was a former founder and chief technology officer of spatial temporal math, which was a very successful math program um, from kindergarten to grade 8. So he's now joined Cisco, and he's tasked with making these learning offerings extremely interactive. So I have this amazing opportunity and mentor, which I feel so grateful for. And that opportunity would have never opened up if I didn't take and complete the MCIT program through UPenn. So that really opened up amazing doors for me.
Well, that's great news. I mean, it sounds like you're in a great role. So that's really inspiring. Do you have any advice for prospective students who are hoping to become a Penn engineer?
I feel like the strongest programmers and students I know are people who just have boundless curiosity and always want to figure things out. And so I don't know exactly what Penn looks at in terms of admissions, but if I were in charge, I would be looking for people who demonstrate extreme curiosity and a strong love for learning. Um, I think once you're in the program, I think some of my recommendations is to definitely take courses with a lot of group projects. I think that's where a lot of the learning really happens. And I think with all of these kind of programs, you kind of get out of it what you put into it. So I'd encourage you to be super engaged, whether it's on Slack, going to office hours, becoming a teaching assistant, and joining group projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like you really have that curiosity aspect in your whole life. I mean, you seem like a lifelong learner. So that's really inspiring. That's great advice. Those are really all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you might want to add?
Mainly just that I was so grateful for the opportunity. So I think as someone who, loves to learn, this pivot for me, even though I did this pivot, like I started Penn Engineering 2 weeks after my child was born. um, this pivot to me was one of the best decisions I've made. And so I would, yeah, I think if you really enjoy learning and problem solving, I would highly encourage you to apply. And yeah, I'm super grateful for the opportunity I had. And I feel like if you go down this route, I hope you have as much fun as I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our Alumni Corner event. To all those who are watching, if there are any questions that you would like me to ask our students or alumni, feel free to send me a message on our social media platforms, and I'll be sure to cover in our next Alumni Corner event. But thank you so much, Hans. I wish you the best of luck, and I really appreciate you joining today.
Thank you so much as well.